And welcome to the men's room. Here in the men's room, awareness and utility is the focus. The topic for this video is Hybristophilia. Let's get it started.
Message. What is it that women are going for? What can we see out in the wild? What can we see women actually responding to as an alpha? And I've always used this as, and we give a name to this. We want to make this a psychological disorder, but this is a disorder called Hybristophilia. And if you guys are familiar with Hybristophilia, it is the tendency for women to fall in love and, of course, want to have babies with incarcerated felons. And sometimes those men are very dangerous. Sometimes they're in jail and they're never going to be coming out. They might even be on death row. If you go and you look at mass murderers, such as Anders Breivik, I think is, I hope I'm saying that right, I'm probably not. Richard Ramirez, I think, was probably the one that really woke me up to this, because I remember I lived in LA when the Night Stalker killer was, roaming around Los Angeles. I was living in LA when I was coming through your window and stab you and kill you. And this guy was a pretty brutal murderer, or Charles Manson. He had women who bend over backwards to get with him, to have his babies, to be part of that. Richard Ramirez was turning down marriage proposals. Anders Breivik, same thing. The Boston Marathon bomber, whose name escapes me right now, which I'm sure you'll put in the chat here in just a moment, has a teenage fan club. Even Nicholas Cruz, the guy who's the high school shooter a couple of years ago, gosh, is it 2 years ago now? He's got high school girls who say, oh, he's so cute now. Well, all he had to do is shoot up a high school and women and girls will love him.
It may be hard to believe and even harder to stomach, but teenage girls, women, and even older men are sending letters to the suspected mass murderer, Nicholas Cruz.
Stacks of fan mail and love letters are now piling up at the Broward County Jail. CBS 12's Luli Ortiz joins us live outside the jail tonight in Fort Lauderdale with a closer look at these letters and an expert's view behind the killer's groupies. Luli?
Now, Nicholas Cruz remains here behind bars on suicide watch, so he has not seen any of the letters. Now, many find it very disturbing because these letters are coming from all over the world, mostly from teenage girls. If you need to talk, I'll listen. Only if you're comfortable. Please send me a picture of yourself. I will continue to pray for you and your brother. You can write back. These are just a few examples among the stacks of fan mail obtained by our partners at the Sun-Sentinel. Hundreds writing to Nicholas Cruz, men and women, young and old, from all over the world, from New York to as far as Germany. Some offering friendship, encouragement, or even money. Most of the letters from teenage girls include a description of what they look like or a provocative photo.
There's a certain charisma attached to these people.
Clinical and forensic psychologist Dr. Lawrence Miller says fans or groupies are usually people who are lonely or feel they are unlovable and see Cruz as a person they want to save.
Serial killers, mass murderers, what they're doing there is they're going one step further and they're identifying with these individuals because it gives them a sense of potency and power.
These fans created Facebook pages proclaiming Cruz's innocence. Others sympathize with Cruz because they say he was bullied, orphaned, and diagnosed with mental illness.
Any situation like this is difficult to for some people to fathom, which is one of the reasons we're writing about it, is to, it's just, there's this segment of society that is attracted to this type of thing.
Now, to learn more about these letters from our partners at the Sun-Sentinel, to what they're writing and the people who are sending these letters, just head to our website, cbs12.com, to watch our entire interview and to read their story. Reporting live outside the Broward County Jail in Fort Lauderdale, Luli Ortiz, CBS 12 News.
From 1974 to 1978, a former Boy Scout with movie star looks and charm to match crisscrossed the country, a devious predator in search of prey. 30 young girls and women ages 13 to 26 were raped and murdered before cops finally collared Ted Bundy. Reporters described Bundy's cold-blooded crimes in graphic detail, yet bags of fan mail arrived at his Florida jail during his trial.
Ted's mail was as strange as anybody's mail could be. He got marriage proposals, lots and lots of women sent him pictures, some sent them nude pictures to him, dying for Ted to get back to them.
In 1979, Bundy's trial became a public spectacle. Lovesick groupies showed up in court, desperate to attract attention.
There was an assumption about Ted's victims that they all wore their hair long, parted in the middle, and wore hoop earrings. So women would come to court with their hair parted in the middle, wearing hoop earrings. A couple of them even dyed their hair the right kind of brown, so they wanted to appeal to Ted.
The murder trial of Theodore Bundy goes into its fourth week in Miami today after a long weekend. Friday's session was delayed because the defendant was suffering from a virus. He's accused in the brutal slayings of two Florida State University sorority sisters in January 1978. His trial has attracted a steady and unusual stream of spectators. Robin Lloyd of station WTVJ reports.
Each day, the courtroom is filled with spectators drawn by a fascination with Theodore Bundy himself or by the gruesome details of the crimes. Blood-stained pillows, pictures of the murdered co-eds, evidence that the women were sexually abused. What is unusual to see is that many of the onlookers are women, young women, contemporaries of the 5 Florida State sorority sisters who were assaulted in their beds a year and a half ago.
Every time he turns around, I kind of get that feeling, no, you know, he's going to get me next. You know?
But yet you're fascinated by him.
Very, very. Every night when I go to bed, I just, you know, I get very scared. I shut my door and lock him, you know.
I'm not afraid of him. He just doesn't look like the type to kill somebody. You try to imagine yourself in his place and to see how he's feeling, looking at the pillows with blood stains and everything, if he really did it or not.
The trial has drawn women from as far away as Seattle, where Bundy is suspected of other sex murders. Why is this happening? According to one psychiatrist, it is a mixture of fear, intrigue, and in particular, sexual attraction.
And so, yes, I do think this is, in an underlying sense, a sexual attraction, using that word very broadly for the moment. But there is no question but what violence does quicken the pulse of many people, and certainly of young women.
The young women themselves aren't too sure what it is that attracts them to the trial. Are you a little scared when you look at him?
Yes, it scares me to be in the same room with him, but I know there's other people in there, so.
Why do you do it?
I don't know.
Robin Lloyd for CBS News, Miami.
So many people have been swooning over Netflix documentaries about serial killer Ted Bundy that Netflix tweeted a reminder that there are thousands of alleged hot men on their service who are not convicted serial murderers. Now, Zac Efron also portrays Bundy as a charmer in a new movie, but one woman who survived an attack by Bundy says she doesn't have a problem with that because he used his charm to lure his victims. So we know what a monster he was. Why do you think women are still attracted to this man? Now, he was, when you think of serial killers, you know, you never think of a good-looking guy that you would be a pinup, but this guy was really attractive and women were drawn to him.
Well, I think that I was reading a study about this, and they were saying that some studies show that good-looking people, because they get so much attention, and people like them automatically because they're good-looking, because people are very superficial, basically. They have a lower crime rate because they get away with accepted in the society, and they don't have to commit because they're more attractive. But the ugly ones.
But if they're sociopaths,
It doesn't matter what you
know, if you're a sociopath, that doesn't make much sense.
So now you're talking about nurture versus nature, like those triplets we were talking about.
No, I'm talking about folks who maybe have a little something off that makes them think that murder is the way to go.
Well, it's possible that they have been treated badly as children, very badly, very, very badly, and they become serial killers.
Right.
Well, so, but what's interesting about this is that Ted Bundy
serial
is not
killers.
He's not the only good-looking serial killer.
No.
Jeffrey Dahmer was pretty good-looking.
Yes.
Then there was Richard Ramirez. Perez, handsome guy.
because they charm
and
women.
a guy named Paul John
Just let that be known.
No, but they are pretty attractive.
And the Menendez brothers are very attractive.
Yeah, but they weren't serial
They
killers.
killed their parents, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they said they were orphans.
Okay, you see this conversation we're having? No. They're not serial killers. No, they just killed their parents. I mean, come on.
And then they got married in prison. But listen to this. There is an official term for lusting after people with a criminal record, and it's known as hybristophilia. Hybristophilia, and it's a lesser-known sexual behavior in which individuals find themselves lusting after those who have committed criminal acts. And in fact, studies have found that unattractive defendants are more likely to be found guilty by juries than those that are good-looking. They even get longer prison sentences.
You know, why is that a thing? And of course, we want to, pathologize that. We want to say, well, those women are damaged. Those girls, those only damaged girls do that.
These are very troubled women who are in a fantasy world. They've created a fantasy out of their relationship with this man or their imagined relationship with him.
Bundy married one of his admirers before a jury found him guilty and sentenced him to death.
Although this next clip is not directly about hybristophilia, it's another great example of Rollo's comment on how these women are called broken, damaged, etc.
And usually awkward or bad at talking to women.
Yeah.
A lot of comics
Most comics are, yeah.
Yeah. That's usually like one
Guys I came up weren't.
No?
No. Patrice was ridiculous. Patrice could actually insult them all the way into the bedroom.
That's so
And
crazy.
they would just be walking in going, I know, you're right. You're right.
But those are the broken girls, and broken girls you can always manipulate.
Sure.
At
Listen,
any
don't.
level, right?
No, let me tell you. It's still work.
Yeah.
It's just something that women won't understand because you guys don't have to convince people to have sex with you.
No. Ted Bundy was put to death in the electric chair in 1989 at age 42.
To this question of whether or not she really believed he was innocent, she did have a child by him, conceived behind a water cooler in the visitors park at Florida State Prison.
Boone claimed Bundy fathered her baby girl, though that remains in dispute. Vows are exchanged here at San Quentin an average of 10 times a year. Across the nation, the number of prison weddings totals more than 400 annually.
And that concludes our video on hybristophilia. Keep in mind, the purpose of the men's room is to promote awareness and utility. And notice at no point in time have I made any opinions on this video or any other video that I produce. The purpose of that is to think for yourselves and generate your own opinions on these matters. For those of you who would like to support the men's room work, links are below to donate. For further correspondence, please send emails to the email address listed in the description below. Thank you for your time. As always, stay aware and stay sharp.